Welcome to this week's edition of Breeding to Win, where we've taken some time out of the studio this week and visited the Racehorse Trainers Centre. We will be chatting to Tarry about his victory with Siren's Call in the R2.5 million CTS 3-year-old challenge, which took place last Tuesday night out at Turfentine Racecourse.
That's got no luck, and Siren's Call is quietly going about her business, but Trophy Wife and Siren's Call, it's a Tarry 1-2, Siren's Call on the inside, Trophy Wife second, Siren's Call becomes a millionaire. Second goes to Trophy Wife, then came Easy Lover, Forest Fox was fourth, then came Spirit of Hamilton.
Sean, we know you're so busy, so thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Breeding to Win show with us today.
Thanks, Jules. Nice of you guys to be here.
Well, Sean, just over a week ago, you had two of your top fillies fighting out the finish in the R2.5 million CTS 3-year-old challenge in the form of Siren's Call and Trophy Wife. A very exciting finish.
Yeah, it went well, Jules. I mean, we earmarked it a long way out, and fortunately, I did have the horses. The one horse that I always knew would make the improvement was Trophy Wife, and I was quite confident with her. She's a family that I always wanted to be a part of. Her mother beat Golden Apple in the Willavington to deny me my first Group 1, and I've always been very interested in the family and pleased to have the filly.
Going into the race, Siren's Call went off as the favourite and did look like the right one on form.
Yeah, look here, we knew that if she reproduced her 1400 run to Majmu, it should be no race. But obviously, as she's getting older, she may be wanting a bit further, and we just hope by freshening her up that it would work. We knew the 1400 was going to be a tough ask. We did what we could in terms of preparation. Everything went perfectly, and yeah, she actually got lucky, I think, at the end of the day, because I don't think Trophy Wife would have been definitely in the second box had she got a clear run. But having said that, I mean, Siren's Call is rated so much superior for a good reason. I mean, she's a top filly, and I think it was nice that we could start her season off with a win.
Well, when I chatted to Pierre Stradum after the race, it was a very rough race, and he even said that when you're racing for that amount of money, the guys have no mercy. And I thought Siren's Call was also very lucky in the race because she really got hampered earlier on. Yeah,
she suffered a lot of interference, especially on the turn, and you know, that was a big concern for me, because I thought once she'd been unsettled so early and she takes so long to find her stride, it's not going to work out. And I think the fact that she took so long to get going sort of confirmed that.
When she eventually got a clear run on, she came down on the inside and she accelerated well. But Trophy Wife must go down as one of the unluckiest losers of the season so far, because she got hampered right in the final stages of the race.
It's hard to believe that after taking that hammering, she still finished the race. You know, she's a small filly, and she has to be produced at the last minute because that's the type that she is. And I thought that bump would definitely, she wouldn't still, you know, come through it in such a courageous manner. You know, I was very proud of her.
Great to have fillies finishing first and second against the boys.
Well, in these sales races, remember that the sex allowance always is very handy. It's £5, comes in handy. It gets you into the race easier than the colts. Is it fair? Isn't it fair? I'm not too sure that they should start with a £5 advantage, but it's worked for me. I shouldn't complain. But I think what they need to look at is these horses that have won maybe one race and the handicapper hasn't had a real chance to assess them. The horses at the bottom, maybe bottom 5, or they should have a trial for the race. Maybe even bottom 8. You know, if you think if you're not in the top 8 in the first 2 logs that are published, or the last 2 logs that are published, they should have an 80 grand race, and there'll be no sad stories.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important. I mean, as I've been on about this filly, 7th Heart, I thought she was one of my better fillies. She never got a run because the handicapper decided on her debut that she was only a 76. And I found it very hard to believe, because I had the last horse in the race was Jupiter and Mars, who was 77, and there's no ways those 2 fillies are going to parade.
I think it's important that the handicappers also listen to the trainers as well.
Well, they can't because every trainer is going to have their say. But I'm saying, hold on a second. I've accepted with 6 runners. I'm being honest. It's not, they're different owners. There's nothing, I can only put myself in trouble. But I'm being honest to say these horses at the bottom, these are the horses that I think are good enough to compete. I don't want to just be in the race. Even to get 37,000 Rand for running 10th, I could win a race somewhere else. I want to have a chance at the lion's share. And if I feel a horse is really good enough and the handicapper's got it wrong, I think they should listen. But if you had a little qualifier for the bottom half, it'll sort out all the problems.
Sean, looking at the sales, especially from the recent sales that we've just had in Cape Town, it's great to see how it's grown year after year.
There's no doubt that that carrot dangling definitely spurs the buyers on. There's no doubt in my mind. And they will go the extra bid when they like the horse, where maybe keep looking at the bottom line and what the value is and, are they overpaying? They will overpay a little bit because they think, okay, we've got a chance of getting it back. So it's certainly working in my mind.
Sean, we'll be back with you in a moment. But Vicky Minot during the week caught up with Peter de Beyer, the winning owner and breeder of Siren's Call.
The R2.5 million Cape Thoroughbred Sales graduate race was run at Turffontein on Tuesday night. Peter de Beyer was the really excited owner and breeder of Siren's Call, who won by a comfortable length. So we caught up with Peter de Beyer just to chat to him and find out a little bit more about Siren's Call and his involvement.
Siren's Call on the inside, Trophy Wife second, Siren's Call becomes a millionaire. Second goes to Trophy Wife.
Peter, how excited were you after the win on Tuesday?
No, it was fantastic, Vicky. To be there as the owner as well as the breeder, and of course, a phenomenal first prize, and just everything was just perfect. As often happens with the breeder, you end up racing the ones that you can't sell. So at that sale, I had 6 for sale, and it was a difficult sale for fillies, and I ended up buying back 4 fillies. Anyone could have had her for 80,000, put it that way. What was even more exciting was that another one that I bred that was bought by Paul Peter, Forest Fox, managed to run 4th. So, out of 6 horses at the sale, to get 2 in the first 4 from a breeding perspective is absolutely great.
What was the choice to send Siren's Call to Sean Tarry?
Firstly, we knew that the incentive race was going to be in Joburg, and you know how hard it is to raid from the Cape to Joburg. Secondly, I wanted to give Elusive Fort a bit of exposure in Gauteng. And then obviously Sean Tarry's record speaks for itself. I mean, he's a top trainer. So I phoned him and said, I've got 2 reasonable fillies. Would you like to take them on? Sean is one of those trainers who doesn't over-talk a horse. I'm getting to know his style as opposed to some of the other guys who think everything's going to win. So he's a little bit conservative. I think the biggest concern was we know that this filly needs more ground. So the 1400 was a little bit of a concern. And then, of course, we'd given her a break and we're bringing her into the race fresh. And then, any race like this where you've got a mixed field of 15, 16 runners, there's always the potential, for things to go wrong. So she was handicapped to win this race by 4 or 5 lengths if she ran to her best form and if something else didn't improve dramatically. If you look through the race, she took a beating in the beginning. She had a check early. Pierre originally had her perfectly positioned, sort of 4 or 5 lengths off the mid-division. Then they concertinaed after they all came round the bend. He had to check her badly. Then she got bumped twice. And she ended up, instead of being 5 lengths back, she was second last, 10, 11 lengths off the leaders, with 500 meters to go. And, Pierre then showed, what a great jockey he is. He just found, he managed to pick her up, balance her, and just bring her through. And she won by a length going away. But as I say, without that interference, I think she would have dawdled in by 3 or 4.
No luck, and Siren's Call is quietly going about her business, but Trophy Wife and Siren's Call, it's a Tarry 1-2, Siren's Call on the inside, Trophy Wife second, Siren's Call becomes a millionaire.
You must have been absolutely pulling your hair out, with everything going wrong in the race.
Yeah, I mean, at the sort of 400 or 500 meter mark, I was sweating, but Fortunately, she is a filly that comes from behind, so it was just a question of whether she would get there. The time of the race actually was pretty fast, but then Turfentine is running very fast at the moment, and it's actually quite difficult, if you look at the results of the races over the last few weeks, for horses to win from behind. So there's a lot of merit in her win.
And then Peter, what's next for Siren's Call?
In 2 weeks' time, she will line up in the Gauteng Fillies Guineas. Fortunately, Mike de Kock hasn't entered Majmu, and although supplementaries are still open next week, but she obviously already has the first leg from Cape Town. There are some very strong fillies in that race, probably headed up in the nominations by Same Jurisdiction, who's a Grade 1 winner and rated 110, so it's a tough race. And then a month later the Classic, and a month later the Oaks. So that's her program now.
Not only did you breed Siren's Call, but you're obviously also involved with the Elusive Fort. So how exciting was that for you?
Yes, so this is really great for him. You know, he has got off to a very good start. His first crop, he had a very high percentage of winners to runners. His second crop now, from a couple of runners, we've got Ernie, who managed to win and then run third on Met Day in the listed baby race. So he's got off to a really, really good start. And this past year he had his best crop ever. We covered 108 mares, and 93% of them are in foal, as far as we can find out. So you know, everything is going really, really well for him. But every stallion needs a big horse every year to really get the excitement going, and hopefully she is that big horse.
In what way does Elusive Fort stamp his progeny?
I think there's a couple of things. The first is that you know, he himself is a very athletic horse, and he was a very versatile horse. I mean, he won at group level from 1400 all the way up to 2400. So he does seem to be passing on that versatility. He seems to be upgrading the mares that he covers. And then most importantly, as you saw with her and with the other good winners that he's had, they've got an amazing turn of foot, that acceleration over the last couple of furlongs. And you know, as an ex-jockey, how important it is to have a horse that can kick. It does make for nerve-wracking racing, because you're always coming from behind, you know.
Why would you want to send your mare to Elusive Fort?
Look, I think he's a really exciting up-and-coming stallion. You know, he himself has got a fantastic pedigree. You know, Fort Wood has proven to be a really good sire of sires. You know, that versatility of his, winning at the highest level. And now he's starting to do it on the track. So you know, we've kept his price very, very reasonable. I mean, last year he was only 10,000 to cover. We have to decide for the 2015 season, but we won't push it too far. So hopefully we'll get another big book.
And then Peter, to do with your breeding operation, how many mares do you have at current?
Yeah, you know, I started boarding with other people, and in fact, really two places, at Normandy Stud with Veronica Folks, where in fact Siren's Call's mother was a boarder there, and with Craig Carey at Arkansas. And then I bought my own little place a few years ago, and we moved the mares there in 2011. There's 22 mares there, and I've got a couple of other mares around the country, visiting stallions that are a bit further away. But that year, 2011 crop, I think we only had 10 or 12 foals. But we now it's around 20 every year.
Then do you think that it's quite a big incentive having these races like CTS puts up with the huge prize money?
Well, I think it adds something. You know, as a breeder, you've got to put your horses on sales, and you try and find the right sale for the right horse, you know, where it's going to fit into the price bracket of the people who are coming to the sale. But clearly for the you know, for the very top level sales, I don't think the incentives make a huge difference. People are buying the horses with really strong pedigrees and the best horses. I think for these secondary sales, it really has helped a great deal, and we've seen it with the Ready to Run, we've seen it with the KZN regional sale, and then we've seen it now with these. And I think, you know, it is something that more and more, you know, we're almost going back to where racing started, because if you think about where the stake money comes from, it's from the owners and the breeders, and instead of having a bet on the horse, you buy a ticket into a sweepstake and you race for that stake. So it means that you can provide decent stakes without necessarily relying purely on the tote revenue.
Turf Carriers is a family-run business owned by Mark and Dorrie Sham and their 3 sons, Michael, Matthew and Marcus. New Turf Carriers has been in long-distance transport since 1995 and pride themselves in excellent service, punctuality and loyalty to their clients. Every single stud farm and every single sale to every single racecourse, New Turf Carriers pride themselves in delivering your horse safely. The welfare of your horse is paramount, and it is to this end that we have our own midway stop between Johannesburg and Cape Town. This is situated at Colesberg, where we have a stabling facility for 60 horses, so that the horses on long trips can get off and have a rest during their journey. The bottom line is, New Turf Carriers take your horse from door to door with pride, passion and punctuality.
Second or no. So number 14, All Is Secret, is victorious. Well Witcher.
And for the lads wanted.
Shay takes the lead. Shay wins the Elgos.
Well, welcome back to the Sean Tarry stables. And Sean, just looking at this past season, you've had a tremendous success rate with these ready-to-run races because you opted to take Zambezi River to Cape Town for the Lanzerick Ready-to-Run Stakes. And he was unbeaten going into the race and he came through to win. So you've got a cracking record.
Yeah, listen, it was a lovely race. Things mapped out perfectly. I had Imperial Gold in the race too, and he ran fifth, he ran a good race, but Zambezi had gone down unbeaten and he'd won his 2 starts up here impressively. Obviously the question mark was the turn and the distance, but I always felt that he could get a mile comfortably. And yeah, things just mapped out perfectly. We were able to use a good draw. We were drawn well. My concern was that he got left in his first 2 runs. Is he going to get left and will he come from too far back? But there was never any pressure. Obviously Brutal Force hit the front at the right time and it looked overs, but we could see that Zambezi was unwinding down the inside and Siamanga, under competent ride, got him home where it counted.
A lot of people say that these ready-to-run races are not quality races, obviously not being group races, but when you look at the horses that come out of these ready-to-run races and how they compete in these grade 2 events, grade 1 events, and I think you're a perfect example. The fact that you've got now 3 runners representing you, including Zambezi River, in the Gauteng Betting World Guineas on Saturday at Turffontein Racecourse, and then 4 runners, 2 of which are Siren's Call and Trophy Wife, in the Wilgeborst Fillies Guineas. I think it says something for these ready-to-run races.
Jules, you know, I do agree that it's not a group race. These ready-to-runs and not every horse his rating would qualify them into a group race. But having said that, I think your top horses of every sale are going to be competitive in group races. And I mean, it doesn't come as a surprise that the winners of those sales races would be big runners in these group races coming up.
Let's chat about your runners in the Betting World Gauteng Guineas because they're all well drawn.
Yes, listen, Imperial Gold, we prepared him for the Tony Ruffle from Cape Town, and we rated up and everything had gone really, really well, and he was a little bit lame behind, and you know, it was a major blow for us. Felix and Eric Sands had done a fantastic job helping, and we were pretty confident with the weight in the draw that we would just about win it. And obviously we had to shelve that run and get him right. Took 4 or 5 days. We've got him sound now, and obviously he is on track, but without that prep run. Zambezi, I thought his run coming back to the 1200 was a very, very good run. I don't think his run in the Guineas was a true reflection. He went very quiet on me the week of that Guineas, and we couldn't find anything concrete to pull the plug. His bloods were good, his recovery rate was good, he was eating, he looked fantastic, but he's a handful, and he was very quiet that week and was a concern, and I just feel that wasn't his run. And I think if you added a couple more lengths onto that run, it puts him right in the mix. And then there's French Navy, who's just been so progressive, and he bumped a really strong field last time in the Sea Cottage. He was drawn very badly. We had to drop him to last on the inside course, and I'll be surprised if he wasn't the fastest finisher. I haven't seen the times, but he did everything right. The fact that Urtejol won it and Mike as his 2 runners, which have franked the form since, the 2 of them both come out to win impressively, I think it gives us a bit of confidence. He's improved, he's not as sluggish, he's got a reasonable draw. So I think all 3 are in with chances.
Moving on to the Wilgeborst Fillies Guineas, you've got 4 runners, also very nicely drawn, and all real quality horses in their own right.
I think Siren's Call, obviously a lot in her favour. I think Peter and I were over-analytical last season to go for the Dingons because we were drawn poorly, but then we didn't have Pierre because Pierre had confirmed on Harry's son, and it's just when our jockey gets on with a horse, you know, why separate them? And that may have been where we slipped up. She's coming back to Turfentine Mile, which she'll enjoy. Obviously, first leg of her filly's Triple Crown. I think she is a filly that could compete in all 3 races, and obviously once Majmu appears, you know, it will make things a lot tougher. But she's definitely a Triple Crown filly. Then we've got Bechet, who's top class filly, I think. She's out of a mare that certainly, I think it's Bordeaux, that certainly gives you the feel that she will get at least a mile and 10 furlongs comfortably. Then there's Tamani. She's done nothing wrong. I think she's going to appreciate the extra ground. She'll certainly enjoy the mile here. She would be a Triple Crown filly. And I think Trophy Wife will probably be stretched at the mile, and we just take our chances here and see what happens.
You've had a great season so far, and you've got a top crop of 3-year-olds starting to push their way through. What other horses can we look out for the season besides the runners that are represented on Guineas Day?
I think I had 3 winners at the Vol yesterday, all in, well, 2 were maidens and 1 in quite a low-rated race. All 3-year-olds, I think they're all going to come through the season nicely. Finchatten, 7th Heart, I think, is a really nice filly. She's only going to be progressive with every run. And Verge, I think we were forced to run on the poly a few times in Durban, and it may have just taken the shine off her, but I think she's going to win races. I've got a lot of young horses coming through, Jules, and you know, some of them make the grade, some of them don't. I think a horse like Fort Meyer is definitely a horse for next season. He's been put away this season. He's had a little niggle, but I've got a lot of confidence in the horse. And, you know, I have got quite a few youngsters coming through.
Are there any older horses we can look out for? I know Willow Magic, a lot of people thought was a bit disappointing that he didn't come through and win the Tommy Hotspur the other night at Turfentine Racecourse.
Well, Jules, I told everybody before the race, I said his first run was very, very impressive. But bearing in mind, we had him in the perfect race to come back. It was as though Julius Mariba was claiming 6 kilos. He basically had a 6 kilo claim. He was well clear on ratings, and that had to make the win more impressive, the weights. And when I looked at the program, I couldn't find an ideal second run, and I said, well, take a chance at the Tommy Hotspur, and he certainly can win it, but he's no good thing. And well, generally, once again, nobody listens to the advice you give. I was always nervous. Listen, with a clear run, he would have won, but he wouldn't have won as an even money chance should have won. So I knew we were always going to be a little tight with that race. It didn't go our way. His next two are the Senior Centre and the Computer Form Sprint. Fortunately, he didn't get a penalty in his last start, which makes the Senior Centre very realistic. And I think we'd be crazy not to have a go at the Computer Form. Obviously, the Horse Chestnut was on the agenda, but it comes too soon, and I'd rather try the mile again at Gavel.
It's an easier track.
It's an easier track. He's won the Dingons, and he won it well. I mean, he murdered them. But I think just coming back, the mile will come too soon for him, and we've elected just to keep him sprinting for now.
Well, Sean, thank you so much once again for your time, for joining us on the Breeding to Win show, and we wish you all the best for the Highveld season.
Thank you, Jules.
Well, thanks to Sean Tarry. We'll be back with more Breeding to Win right after the break. On the 20th of January, the world's highest rated horses of 2014 were awarded at the Longines World's Best Racehorse ceremony in London, where two-time South African Horse of the Year Variety Club was placed third, together with a unique group of horses all rated 127. Let's take a look.
Well, it is the great and the good of horse racing internationally today.
The creme de la creme. Everybody's here, very excited. It's very international too.
Longines and horse racing are very long association, and we share the same values as elegance, performance and tradition.
We, at Longines, have a true passion for equestrian sports. We provide our timekeeping expertise, serving the most beautiful and prestigious races and racecourses around the world.
So we first turned to Asia, where Abel Friend lifted the Longines Hong Kong Mile and the South African Raider Variety Club lifted the Shatin champion smile. Please sit back and enjoy their greatest moments.
Gates open, they're off and racing. Able Friend quickly headed off Secret Sham, but away goes Able Friend cruising away with the Jockey Club Mile. Spine-tingling performance by Able Friend, and we're ready to run. Now Able Friend, 1,300 pounds of him, and away he goes. Able Friend from last has put pay to them quickly, but Able Friend bolts up for Joe Moreira. A spine-tingling performance by Able Friend. Variety Club leads all of the way, wins the Godolphin Mile. And Variety Club has given us all of his class. They're off and racing in the Champions Mile. Variety Club's going great guns inside the 100 metres. What a triumph, the first international success, and Variety Club roars away to beat Able Friend. I think that shows you what a special horse this is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to ask the winning connections of Able Friend, Mrs. Tisa Lee and her daughter Charmaine, to come on stage, as well as the winning connections of Variety Club, Mr. Derek Brookman and his wife Colleen, who represent the owners.
Yeah, it's a great privilege for us to be involved with a horse of this caliber. It's a great privilege for our country. As you mentioned earlier, I think it's one of the first horses from South Africa ever to receive an award at this esteemed event. A big thank you from our side for Longines for your ongoing support of racing around the world, and for this special event today, to the IFSA and the British Horse Racing Authority for facilitating this wonderful event. Thank you very much. We're privileged to be here. We're proud of what we've achieved with Variety Club, to Joey Ramsden, Mark de Kock and Anton Marcus, who made all of this possible. We can't describe what it means to us, and on behalf of Marcus and Ingrid that can't be here today, unfortunately, we'd just like to thank everybody associated with this horse, and good racing to everybody in 2015.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second highest ranked racehorse in the world is Epiphania. Please sit back and enjoy his greatest moments.
And away they go, racing in the cup. It's going to be Epiphania's Japan Cup. Epiphania will go on and score along the rail. Epiphania goes and wins on by 4.
I would like to ask the winning connections. Mr. Fushia Takahashi and his wife Yoko, Mr. Masayuki Goto, the president and CEO of the Japan Racing Association, as well as our translator, Mr. Tanaka, to come on stage.
I'm very proud of having this kind of such a great prize for that. Actually, Epiphania is owned by my friends, a syndicated member. So the prize money from the Japan Cup in association with Longines is distributed properly to the syndicated members. So I have never seen that. But today I have awarded with such a nice prize. So I'm very happy with that and very proud of it. Thanks everyone very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the 2014 Longines World's Best Racehorse. And I have the great pleasure to announce that for the very first time in the history of the international classification, the world's highest ranked racehorse comes from Japan. He stormed onto the international racing scene at the beginning of the season, when he won the Group 1 9 furlong Dubai Duty Free at Meydan in Dubai. It was truly a scintillating performance. He beat a high-class field of international Group 1 winners by 6 lengths. He's the son of Heart's Cry. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2014 Longines World's Best Racehorse is Just Away. Please sit back and enjoy his fantastic performances.
Start しました。ジャストウェイだ。ジャストウェイリードを3馬身取った。2番手接戦。ジャストウェイゴール。
Racing in the 64th Yasuda Kinanen. Here's Just Away late. Grand Prix Boss is in front. It's going to be a boil over. No! Here's Just Away jumping out of the ground. Grand Prix Boss, they hit the line. Maybe Just Away from Grand Prix Boss.
Back to back, they're racing in the Dubai Duty Free. And Just Away for Japan, sprinted, coming to the 250 metres mark and Just Away, dashed away. Just Away was hyped and the hype is right. Just Away, a big, big winner of the Dubai Duty Free.
Thank you very much. Mr. Capelli, if you would like to present the winning connections with their prize. I would now like to ask Mr. Akatsuki Yamatoya, the owner. I would like to ask Mr. Naosuke Sugai, the trainer, and Mr. Yuichi Fukunaga, the jockey, to come and join us on stage.
This time I'm very lucky and probably the happiest moment in my life to have this kind of such a great prize in London.
初めてのことなんで、それはもうすごく意味のあることだと思います。で、130という数字をいただけたっていうことはもうとてもありがたいことだし、意義のあることだと思ってます。はい。それはもう日本で最初のことなんで。
Raise your glasses to the 2014 Longines World's Best Racehorse.
7 years ago, we presented the idea to introduce the Longines Best Horse Award. And thanks to the help of the Horse Racing Federation, we achieved to recognize the importance of the jockeys and the owners.
We believe in excellence. We believe that if you're going to do something, you do it to your best ability. We aim to make Balmoral #1 in the Southern Hemisphere, not just South Africa.
Gavel House is the leading website for trading horses online. Selling your racehorse, mare or even a share in a yearling is so easy on Gavel House. You can browse our sires directory to match the best mating for your mare, with text description, videos and up-to-date sires reports. Gavelhouse.com is the best way to sell your horse. We reach places others can't, where buyers and sellers deal direct and pay no commission. Go to gavelhouse.com.
Once again, thanks to Gavel House for their sponsorship on the Breeding to Win show. We look at two horses from the Gavel House website this evening. The first being a horse in training, Evening Storm by Western Winter out of Palace Bride. It's a 2010 gelding going for 325,000 Rand. Now, Evening Storm has had 17 runs for 3 wins and 6 places, runs off a merit rating of 73. He comes from a strong female line, and his dam Palace Bride is the dam of 8 to race with 7 winners, including Shades of Indigo, Silver Mist, Crown of Gold and Zakeza. If you are interested in purchasing Evening Storm, contact Mark Bass in the Western Cape. The other is Julie by Braveton Soldier out of Jolly Good Fun, well named. 2011 filly, and there's a 10% share going for 14,000 Rand. Julie is well grown, powerful filly. She's in full training and will race shortly. She's from the family of Justine, a champion filly in South Africa, and they are selling on behalf of leading breeder George Rolls. Get hold of Doug Campbell if you're interested in purchasing a share in Julie. Well, that's a wrap for this week's show. Of course, we will be looking at the highlights next week of the Betting World Gauteng Guineas Grade 2 and the Wilgeborst Fillies Guineas Grade 2 as well, both being the first legs of the Triple Crown and Triple Tiara in South Africa. From myself, Julie Alexander, and the rest of the Breeding to Win team, good night.